These people are so out of control that they are allegedly setting Teslas on fire at dealerships. You have got to be an absolute nut job to go down the road of going to dealerships and setting them on fire because you don't like the owner of the company. I mean, that is just next level.
He's a nut job.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you have to be an absolute wacko. Good morning. It's great to be here on a Hump Day Wednesday. Bill O'Reilly is going to be on the show at 7:30 this morning. So make sure that you are here in less than 90 minutes. Bill has got a big morning ahead with us. We'll talk about what's going on, of course, in Washington, D.C., but also Bill was in the Oval Office the other day. So we're going to find out what he thinks about the JFK files, which got released last night, what his thoughts are. He's written books, of course, on that and much more. So I wanted to tease that to kick off the show here on a Wednesday morning. So here's the reporting from KCTV5. We got this Tesla dealer here right on State Line Road, and we shared this with you during the show yesterday. We now know that the FBI and the ATF are investigating this as what they're calling right now suspicious, along with the Kansas City police. So we have enough there where the FBI is involved. This is not like, wow, these Tesla Cybertrucks caught fire. Don't you hate when that happens? Yeah, they just kind of lit up in the middle of the night. Can you believe it? Wow.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Caught fire.
Yeah, the Kansas City Star wrote it that way. Tesla Cybertrucks caught fire. Oh, come on. Caught fire? Just like how they talk about shootings, the guns just go off. It's like, no. Like someone does these things. Someone pulls the trigger. Somebody appears to have lit these cars on fire because they're mad at Elon Musk. And just let's call it what it is, right? So it's right there on State Line Road, right by Jaspers in South Kansas City. And here's KCTV5's reporting from last night.
It's definitely unnerving that it's happening so close to our home and on a street, an area where there's a lot of kids.
As top authorities continue to investigate what happened here, the entire situation has those in the area on edge, especially as people around the country and here locally are making their voices heard with protests outside the dealership.
My husband and I were talking just the other week, that the protests being right there was, not something that we really had ever anticipated.
Now, we have seen across the country where people are intentionally setting Teslas on fire. President Trump saying that these are acts of domestic terrorism. I want to be clear that the ATF has not linked this scene to anything like that, as they are still early in this investigation. The dealership declined to comment. In Kansas City, Grace Smith, KCTV5 News. Grace.
Well, hold on right there. I mean, to say that, well, the ATF is not confirming that this is domestic terrorism, if somebody lit that vehicle on fire because it was a Tesla, I don't need much more evidence than that to call it domestic terrorism. Do you? I'd just be honest. I don't know what more you would possibly need. If you've got an FBI investigation going on right now, you've got the ATF involved. It's not like it's a little KCPD case and it's like, some
couple of 14-year-olds.
Yeah, that's not what we're dealing with here. And there's a video that someone who was driving by caught 2 nights ago when this happened. I put it up last night on X at Pete Mundo, and we can reshare it from the KCMO Talk Radio X account as well. And you see actually what the driver believes to be a woman running across the street from the Tesla dealership after they lit up. So it appears to be a female, at least one female, who is involved. You had ATF all over this neighborhood right across the street from this Tesla dealership off State Line Road, and that's who you heard from there in that KCTV5 report where, this homeowner is like, we got a lot of little kids around here, and now we got these protests happening outside of the Tesla dealer. Talk about amateur hour. You got a guy right now in Elon Musk who maybe you don't agree with how he's doing everything and whatever. That's your prerogative. That's fine. But you got a guy who I believe is there to, frankly, help out the country, get out of debt, figure out where we can save money. We're running $3 trillion deficits. 2.5 this year is what we're on track for. $36 trillion in debt. It's got to get under control. The country needs it desperately. He's helping out. Trust me, he's not looking for your grandma's $18 in her checking account. Okay, this notion that he's secretly trying to get rich off the people. The guy's worth $400 billion. Okay, maybe it's down to $300 billion because Tesla stock is in the toilet. But either way, he's not looking for my money. I promise you that. I really don't think I'm important enough for Elon Musk to be looking for my money here. That's not what's going on. He's not trying to steal your grandma's Social Security here. That's not who he is. They fabricated this idea of what they think Elon Musk is. And that's where TDS has turned into EDS.
He's got my personal information?
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah, it's the government. Right? You fill it out when you do your taxes. There's a lot of it in there in the government.
Do you realize how many people have access to your Social Security number? And how many of them would rather steal your money compared to Elon Musk, who has no use for your money?
Exactly.
I mean, come on, people. Just step back for a second and use a little bit of common sense. I don't need a ton. I just need a little bit to come to that conclusion. But now we've got this going on here in Kansas City. Now, there is no connection at this point in time to what happened in Vegas, where there appeared to be a much more targeted and coordinated attack on a Tesla facility on Tuesday morning, where at least 5 Teslas were damaged after an individual set cars on fire and fired at least 3 rounds of gunshots in a targeted attack on this facility. The suspect also painted the word resist on the storefront's windows, according to Las Vegas police. But right now, they are not connecting these two things. But you have this in Kansas City, you had the Vegas incident, and then 6 days ago, you had a dozen shots fired at a Tesla dealership in Tigard, Oregon. The second such incident at that location in 1 week, causing damage to cars and store windows out there. So this is what's happening right now at Tesla dealerships around the country. You also have more videos. I saw one last night. A guy took a video. He was in his Cybertruck, and he pulls up to the stoplight, and he looks to his right, and there's a guy just holding his hand out the window, giving him the middle finger. Doesn't know the man. They're just side by side at a stoplight. And this guy in his Cybertruck.
Did you see my wedding ring?
He filmed somebody else flipping him off in the Cybertruck just because he has a car that was created by Elon Musk's company. This is next level stupidity. Now, legally speaking, I also hope what happens here is that when they find the individuals involved, first off, the FBI is involved. So this is not going to be handled by the Jackson County prosecutor. I hope that they throw the book at him federally. Whatever they can get him on, they should have the book thrown at them just to make an example that we are not going to be burning down Tesla dealerships or, Tesla vehicles outside of dealerships because we don't like Elon. I think back to Bud Light. As dumb as that whole thing was, and trust me, I was already boycotting Bud Light before the boycott of Bud Light began, so I couldn't really join the boycott. The only boycott of Bud Light I had was at NFL games or, Chiefs games here in town. I won't buy a Bud Light now at a game for that very reason. But the most we did was say, we think Bud Light made a mistake as a brand, so we're not going to buy the product. We weren't going around to liquor stores and beer stores trying to find racks of Bud Light and setting them on fire. The dumbest thing that happened was Kid Rock bought Bud Light and then, fired his gun at a bunch of Bud Light cans on the side of a fence or something like that. But he actually bought the product. Like, if people want to buy Teslas and then light them on fire, I think Elon will say, sure. I mean, buy the product, please.
Deal.
Yeah, sure. You can have it for $75,000. Take it off me.
Yeah, that's the difference, I guess. That's like, what, a $20 pack of beer?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to spend $100,000 on a Cybertruck and then light it on fire for social media clicks, I don't think Elon's going to stop you there.
In your own backyard.
In your own backyard, of course, in a safe location that doesn't require your local fire department to get involved. But that's not what's happening.
Throw in the Nikes.
Yes, please throw in the Nikes while you're at it. Good point there, John. 2-for-1 deal there, right? That's right. But now we've got people who have lost their minds. 913-408-7957. That's our text line and our studio line here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM and streaming on the app. Let's squeeze it in. Get to some calls here right out of the gates. Mike, you're in Kansas City on KCMO. You driving by that Tesla dealer? What's going on, buddy?
Oh, well, I tell you, the whole situation here is that you got the core people who are running the woke part of the Democratic Party that are losing their funding. You know, like, what's her name? Stacey Abrams got, $2 billion from Biden? They're getting all this money to go into these NGOs and all these pet projects. I mean, who do you think financed the $4,000 each it took to get all these illegals into the country that paid the cartels? All that came mostly from, I think, our taxpayers through these NGOs, these organizations. This has been exposed, but, you know, the woke have a core group of people that are mindless, and they'll follow whatever they're told to do, and you do have fanatics. Remember Jesus of Nashville, who shut up the school? You know, you got this core group of people, they know it, and they can be triggered and motivated. I just wish that they would go to the top and cut the snake's head off, because that's the only way that, you know, we're going to stop some of this fanaticism. And I'd say the same thing for right-wing people doing it, too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there are no doubt, to your point there, fanatics all over the place associated with all sides of the political space. I mean, that is very much true. I feel like you get more people who will call it out on one side versus the other, but you're right. Now, I don't know. I mean, you know, you bring up the point on USAID funding these NGOs and how it's making people allegedly very wealthy in and around government. I believe that to be true. How much of that is tied to a woman running across State Line Road 2 nights ago after setting a Cybertruck on fire? I don't know, right? Like, we don't know what her specific motivation is. If it is a she, I mean, that's what the guy who was filming the video from 2 nights ago said on his social media. It was a woman who was running across State Line Road. I don't know that to be the case and what her connections are to anybody. Is she just one lunatic? Is it part of some coordinated attack? I don't know. Right now, the cops are saying that it's not tied to what happened in Vegas. But when you get people this worked up over a guy who's just like, hey, I'm going to try to help cut fraud, waste, and abuse, which is what Barack Obama said, and Joe Biden, you know, when he could actually speak, like 10, 12 years ago, this was not radical stuff. Even if you don't agree with every single way they're going about doing it, none of this was intended to be radical. It was intended to be the same thing that you do in your household every single month when you say, hey, honey, we spent more than we made. We got a problem. We got to rein it in. The difference is no one's done that in D.C. on either side of the political aisle in 30 years. That's why it seems so radical. But it's not. 913-408-7957. Last night, we had a police officer involved shooting in Kansas City. What do we know? What happened? We have the details on that next. So it wasn't even that late in the night last night when KCPD found itself in a chase with a suspect, and it resulted in the Kansas City police shooting the individual. Here's the report from Channel 9.
Following breaking news in downtown Kansas City, Missouri, here's a live look near West 16th and Jefferson Street, not too far from the Kauffman Center. And as you can see here, it's a very active scene. Missouri Highway Patrol said it started after police pulled a man over just before 6 o'clock tonight. That's when police say that man drove away. A KCPD helicopter spotted him. Now, the suspect allegedly ran into his car into an officer's car. That officer then shot him. He is in critical condition right now. Tonight, Missouri Highway Patrol are investigating the case.
Now, that's all we've got on that story. That's all we know. The suspect is in critical condition as of right now after being shot by a KCPD officer. Missouri Highway Patrol is now investigating that because anytime there's an officer-involved shooting, and this was actually probably the only good thing that came out of 2020 when it comes to police protocol. But this was under Rick Smith, the former police chief, where they said, you know what, it does make sense for us to not investigate ourselves. So Missouri Highway Patrol investigates any KCPD officer or any incident where the police shoot a suspect. So Missouri Highway Patrol is now investigating it. Now, some people are going to say it's still cops investigating cops. Who do you want to do it? They're not investigating themselves. That's the most important thing. Missouri Highway Patrol is on it. Now, you know as well as I do, this story will go one of two ways based on the makeup of the individuals involved, from the cops to the suspect. We do not have any of that information right now, but I'm just, you know what? I'm not going to BS you on it. You know it and I know it to be true. This story will go absolutely nowhere if it does not check off certain boxes. We may never hear about this story again. If it does, we'll be back having the same old conversations before long. That's how this is going to play out, sadly, but that's just the reality of the situation right now. Yesterday, we gave you some information on Brian Platt, the city manager who right now finds himself suspended with pay after the city had to settle that lawsuit involving former communications director Chris Hernandez. He used to be a reporter in town. I did want to touch on that briefly and just add to the story that the expectations are we will find out tomorrow whether or not Brian Platt is going to keep his job. From what I'm hearing around City Hall, I don't think the votes are there to keep Brian Platt. I think that's wrong because there are people who do not want him in that job because of his skin color, because he's a white guy. I'm not being more dramatic just to try to be outrageous here. I know that to be a fact. There are people on the city council who actually said to the city manager at the time he was hired that they were upset he got the job in part because he was the wrong skin color. I kid you not. So that's always been an issue for Brian Platt in the eyes of some people at City Hall, which is, racist. That is the definition of racism, right? That's what it is right there. But I don't think we will find out his fate tomorrow because right now the city council is dealing with trying to finalize a $2.5 billion budget. There's no way they do that and take care of the city manager issue tomorrow. So they may kick the can down the road on that one, which could be a good thing for Brian Platt going forward. Time might heal some wounds that are needed here to try to save that job for him, but we'll have to wait and see. Bill O'Reilly is going to be on the show in 1 hour, 7:30 this morning. Make sure that you're here on KCMO 95.7 FM. We're streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app. Coming up next, a gift from one political figure. We'll share it next. Stop with all the winning. Just make it stop. I can't take it anymore. It's too good. Good morning, 6:34. It is great to have you here on KCMO 95.7 FM. We're always streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app. Bill O'Reilly will be here at 7:30, less than 1 hour from now. Make sure that you're here. Even if you can't be on 95.7, make sure you are streaming the show in 1 hour to hear from Bill O'Reilly on KCMO Talk Radio. So, once again, I'm doing what I usually do after the show, and that is get out of the studio. John and I have a brief meeting, say hi to Keatsman, and then I make a beeline to go watch The View. No, I swear I do. You guys think I'm joking, but, John, now you know why I'm in such a rush after the show.
Right. Anything else you got?
Yeah, come on. What do we got to do here? I got stuff to do. I gotta go watch The View. So yesterday, Chuck Schumer's on The View, and I guess Chuck is one of the leaders of the Democratic Party at this point. I don't know who their fearless leader is. Gavin Newsom wants it to be him. Chuck Schumer thinks it's him. Kamala Harris is nowhere to be found. Tim Walz is doing a lot of stuff these days, talking about beating up Trump supporters. I'll get to that. They don't have a leader at this point. Obama's MIA. So you get people like Chuck Schumer going on The View, and I've already found every Republican member of Congress running for office, the clip that they can run in their ads, skip the big ad agency, okay? Skip the overpaid consultants. Just take this free advice here on KCMO Talk Radio. I'm doing you a favor, Mark Alford. I'm doing you a favor, Derek Schmidt. I'm doing you a favor, whoever runs against Sharice Davids and Emmanuel Cleaver. I'm doing you all a favor. All you've got to do is run this clip of Chuck Schumer on The View yesterday, and you've got yourself a little campaign ad. Here he is talking about, DOGE, government spending, and who actually is in charge of your money.
And you know what their attitude is? I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes. Or, I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, the land and water that I own, or my employees? They hate government. Government's a barrier to people, a barrier to stop them from doing things. They want to destroy it. We are not letting them do it, and we're united.
Okay, good.
Even The View was like, get him out of here. We're turning up the bumper music. Get him out! Get him out!
I'm playing him off.
Yeah, it was like the Oscars when the speech is going on too long. If you want to play that game, if you want to stand on the idea that anybody who is against Doge or anybody who is for Doge is simply someone who is like, I hate the government. No, I would flip the script there, Chuck. I could use this all against you, my man. What if I care so much for the country and the government and the future success of the government, I want to see it balance its budget so that it can continue to do its job and serve those who need the government's help and continue to do the basics well, like building highways, fixing highways, helping out where they need to, making sure you've got a strong military, having a safety net for those in need for a period of time. What if I care enough? And what if those of us who support Doge care enough to make sure the government continues to be a functional operation? Now, do I think the government's too big? Yeah. Do I inherently mistrust the government? Absolutely. Does the government want to do too much in all of our lives? No doubt about it. No ifs, ands, or buts on that one. But Chuck Schumer harkened back to the old Obama 2012 campaign line that I couldn't get out of my head yesterday once I saw him go down this road. And you're going to remember this one from Obama 13 years ago now.
If you were successful, somebody along the line gave you some help. There was a great teacher somewhere in your life. Somebody helped to create this unbelievable American system that we have that allowed you to thrive. Somebody invested in roads and bridges. If you got a business, that you didn't build that.
There it is.
Somebody else made that happen.
There it is. You didn't build that. You didn't build that.
You still poor, broke, busted, and disgusted.
That's right. Ain't that the truth? Chuck Schumer just broke out his own Barack Obama. You didn't build that. But it's even worse. Obama's saying there in that 2012 clip, you didn't build that, implying if you started your business or you built up a business, you didn't build that. You needed the government roads and, you needed people to work for you and the whole thing. Schumer's is even worse because Schumer's clip is talking about the end game. Obama's at least making a case that some people can wrap their heads around, which is, yes, of course, we understand that we need roads to get to work, to, do our jobs. Thank you, Obama, for pointing out the obvious. I really do appreciate that. But Schumer then went next level with this.
And you know what their attitude is? I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes.
And by the way, his goofy little, how dare you? I don't want to pay taxes. It's just, Chuck, relax, buddy, okay?
Yeah, I can understand Obama as a politician admonishing.
Yeah.
But now this went to mocking.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the ridiculous part of it.
That's what Chuck Schumer did yesterday on The
View.
View.
Cartoon attempt.
Yes, and he's kind of doing his fake voice.
Cheeseburgers and Ken Lehman.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck, why don't you work a grill first before you start lecturing me on how much of my own money I should be allowed to keep, okay? We're not even advocating for cutting taxes here. What Republicans want to do is just keep the tax rates where they're currently at with the Trump tax plan that went into effect back in 2017, and they want to extend. And yes, they're talking about some other vanity projects, no tax on tips and things like that. But trust me, that's not about the rich guy or gal. The rich person is not the one who's working for tips. So that's really a working class thing more than it is like cutting Elon Musk's tax rate further. So that line of attack doesn't work either. But they're trotting out the same old tired stuff time and time again. And I don't think people are buying it. I mean, the lemmings that are at The View, which, my gosh, how out of touch and how bored do you have to be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a ticket to The View today. I'd like my IQ to drop by 5 points, please. So I'm going to go into Manhattan and I'm going to watch Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar preach to me about insane left-wing politics. That sounds like a great time, said nobody ever.
This is absolutely lit. This is lit.
But now I get Chuck Schumer to boot. Oh, my gosh. What a doozy of a day that turned out to be. But that right there can be something that Republicans use and run on in 2026. They can play this Schumer clip. They can run it on loop. And you can just look into the camera and say, yes, I'd like you to be able to at least know that when we take your money and we confiscate your money, and let's be clear, that's what the government does, you can know that it's being used on basic services. The problem right now is there's too much money that's unaccountable for. That's the problem. There's too much money that nobody knows where it's being spent. Or it's being spent on political favors to make people rich who are in government already. That's the problem. And that's why this line of attack falls on completely deaf ears, at least for people who are paying attention to what's going on right now in the news cycle. So just a memo to Alford and Schmidt. I'm here to, save you guys a lot of money on your reelection bids coming up next year. You run that Schumer ad and you'll be just A-okay. All right. From Pam Bondi, Attorney General of the United States, on what is happening at Tesla properties, including here in Kansas City, where 2 nights ago, it looks like 2 Cybertrucks were set on fire. Right now, the FBI and the ATF are investigating that here in Kansas City. But here's the statement from Pam Bondi, Attorney General of the United States. Quote, "The swarm of violent attacks on Tesla property is nothing short of domestic terrorism. The Department of Justice has already charged several perpetrators with that in mind, including in cases that involve charges with 5-year mandatory minimum sentences. We will continue investigations that impose severe consequences on those involved in these attacks, including those operating behind the scenes to coordinate and fund these crimes." Now, I do not know, and we do not know, what happened yet here in Kansas City. I've reached out to a bunch of people in law enforcement. There's a couple of people that I have ties to who work locally in the FBI, and nobody's talking right now. Normally, I can maybe get a colonel or something out of somebody. I can't get anything on this one right now because they know that this story is being watched very closely and also is highly politicized. It shouldn't be, but it is. So we don't know if this is somebody who just acted alone, if it's somebody who was part of some coordinated effort. Right now, they're not tying this to what happened in Vegas, where there were a bunch of Teslas set on fire on Tuesday. I believe it was Monday and the Tuesday night. So they're not saying what happened here in Kansas City is tied to what happened over there in Vegas. But you've had issues in Oregon, Vegas, and now also in Kansas City, including other parts of the country. So what's happening here is happening in other places. The question is, was it part of a coordinated effort, or is it just some lunatic here in town who was part of the protests happening on State Line Road? They've been taking place over the last couple of days, where people are just standing outside of this Tesla dealership protesting Elon Musk. Do you think Elon's ever been to the Tesla dealer on State Line Road? I can promise you the answer is no. He couldn't find it if he tried. He would need one of his self-driving cars to figure out how to get to the Tesla dealer here in Kansas City. So what are you proving? What point are you making? But it's amazing how many people I see cheering this on social media, on Reddit here in Kansas City. It's just gross. I mean, you've got regular folks who are working at this Tesla dealer, right? They're just trying to make a living. They're managing the dealership. They're selling the cars. They're working on the cars. They're just trying to live their lives. And people are celebrating this because they don't like the guy who's the owner of the company, who's like, hey, I want to help get rid of some of the waste and the fraud and the abuse in the federal government. And it's like, nope.
How dare
Nope,
you?
you can't be doing such a thing. But this is now the world that we find ourselves in, sad to say. And it's also why the bigger picture here is why we don't have, for the most part, good people who want to serve, good people who want to get into politics. If you have had a reasonable amount of success in life and you're like, 50, 60, and you're saying, hey, I want to give back to my community. I want to give back to my country. I'll run for office. It is such a thankless job. You are fundraising nonstop. And then, God forbid, you have some kind of a business. If you're someone who is going to run for office, you're putting your business at risk. You're putting your family potentially at risk. For what? For hyper-partisan politics? Why would you do such a thing? That's what a lot of people are saying to themselves. I'm not saying that everybody in politics is in it for the wrong reasons. There are plenty of great people that we have on this show who are genuinely doing it for the right reasons. But there are too many people on both sides of the political aisle who are not doing it for the right reasons, who are doing it to be Insta-famous, who are doing it to get TikTok views, who are doing it to get likes on their Facebook page. That's what they're doing. And those are the people that we don't need in politics, Republican or Democrat. And they exist on both sides. Trust me, the really successful people that we want to see give back, most of them want no part of it, which is why in large part Donald Trump is such a unicorn. Say what you want about Trump, but he didn't need this. He certainly didn't need it the second time around as he's wrapping up some of the final really good years of his life in his late 70s. He certainly didn't need it. But we've got a crisis of good, smart, successful people getting in to run for public office. And lighting Teslas on fire is a prime example of why anyone who's been halfway successful is going to be like, why would I do that? People sometimes ask me when I'm out at events, hey, Pete, you want to run for office one day? And I can't say no fast enough. Seeing how all this stuff works behind the scenes, there is no way. Plus, I've got thousands of hours of me on tape saying things that someone would dig up and take out of context anyway. So, there's just no shot. But trust me, whenever this is done, whenever I'm done here, I will be so far removed from it that you will never find me at some kind of a political event. And that's not a knock on anybody who's involved in it. I will be running very far away from it whenever that day does come. I hope it's no time soon because we're having too much fun here on KCMO. We're rocking and rolling. Kevin's in Overland Park. What's up, buddy? You're on KCMO.
Hey, Pete. Hey, I was just, it's really sad. I mean, it is absolutely abhorrent what they're doing to all the Tesla dealers around the country, for sure. I mean, it's one thing to, exercise your First Amendment and protest and say something, but as soon as you cross the line to vandalism and violence, you're done. But it's sad how this country has gone from the United States of America just to the States of America. There is no united anymore. I mean, we're so tribal. You're either, with this tribe or that tribe, and that's it. I mean, you look at Chuck Schumer yesterday. He goes on The View to try to save face, and they just eviscerate him for him caving to the CR bill. And it's like the moment he does something like that, they're all over him, and it's just sad. It's just very sad what this country's come to. And yeah, I'm like you. If someone came to me and said, "Have you thought about running for some political office?" I couldn't say no quick enough. No
I know.
Freaking way.
I know, and I try to encourage good people to do it, and I want to see good people do it, and I try to help them when I see good people trying to get involved. But man, I can't twist somebody's arm to do it right now because I admit I wouldn't do it myself.
No, I wouldn't. No way whatsoever. You cannot There's not. You couldn't give me all of Elon's money to do it. There's no way.
Oh, yes, I
No
could.
way.
Yes, I could, Kevin. I could give you $400 billion. Don't lie now, Kevin. Okay, trust me. I would do it for $400 billion.
Not enough. You think?
Hey, you don't have to win. You just got to run a campaign, right? I mean, I'll run a campaign. I'll run for office for $400 billion, Kevin. I will do that. I admit.
It's sad how the media, even though Trump has really kind of broken the Democratic Party the way it was.
Yeah.
I mean, broken the mold of, certain people that were normally always voting Democrat. Now you got people that don't vote Democrat and things like that. But it's amazing how the media minions and certain members of that party still can push narratives to the point where people go, "Oh, it's horrible what Musk is doing. It's horrible." They can create a narrative to the point and get them wound up to the point where they're setting freaking vehicles on fire that don't even belong to them.
I know.
Belong to other people. I mean, they're committing horrible crimes, and no one's. I mean,
well, that's what Pam Bondi's saying, Kevin. Thank you, brother. I hope you'll catch Bill O'Reilly in 20 minutes. All right, don't miss him.
Okay.
All right, good deal. That's exactly right. On the text line, Pete, maybe the protesters on State Line Road this week should go get a job. Yeah, that would be a nice...
Talk about a bombshell.
That would be a great idea. But, that might be too much work. Just a little too much work. Coming up on KCMO, Bill O'Reilly at 7:35. Do not miss that. In the meantime, there was a band who had a great opportunity to find itself relevant again for a song that is going on 30 years old. But they screwed up the moment because they had to go out there and push back on the politics of it. We'll tell you who and what happened next on KCMO 95.7 FM. Can't think of the last time I heard this song. It's been a hot minute. Did you like this song back in your music DJ days, John Anthony?
Oh, yeah. We played it on 107.3 The X.
Okay, I thought that would have been the case. I was a pup at the time, came out in 98, so I remember it, sitting in the back of my mother's car and things like that. What about you, Mark?
You'll hear this song soon in a couple of years when your girls go to the skating parties over here. They play it at the end of every skating party.
Is that what they do? Well, they're bringing it back. Can you believe it? 1998. The song is 27 years old at this point. And it was a big hit then, of course. But it's one of those songs that, you hear at bars when it's time to get out of there, right? When they want to throw you out of the bar, they start playing it. And the song came back up this week because the White House used it in a social media video this week. And they used it with the backdrop of Border Patrol shipping these criminals out of the country. So you got to see it, but it was on the official White House account. And here's just 17 seconds of the portion of the song that they used. And in the backdrop, what you're seeing is criminal illegal aliens getting arrested, getting put on the airplane, and big signs of Border Patrol.
Closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Ah, see what they did there?
I know who I want to take me home.
You can't stay here. So they used it tongue-in-cheek to say, hey, we're getting rid of the criminal illegal aliens. We're shipping them back to El Salvador. You can't stay here. All right, whatever. So instead of Semisonic, the band, kind of just being quiet about it and saying, hey, this is going to get millions of views on social media. There will be a new generation that may not be aware of this song that will be like, hey, what was that? That thing was catchy. Instead, they went to social media and they put this up on X yesterday. Quote, we did not authorize, this is from the official Semisonic Band X account. We did not authorize or condone the White House's use of our song Closing Time in any way. And no, they didn't ask. The song is about joy and possibilities and hope, and they have missed the point entirely. Who wants to let them know that to more than half the country, getting rid of people who have committed crimes in America, some of the most heinous crimes in America, who also happen to be here illegally, that is actually a moment of joy and possibility and hope. That's actually exactly what that is, John.
Sure. That's right. But I was wondering if they think their song is perspective of joy from who? The bartender? Like, get out of here. It's time to go home?
Yeah, that's true as well.
No, you're being kicked out of the bar.
Yeah. Well, also, if you go back to that song, and I forget where I learned this, but it's also about lead singer Dan Wilson's daughter, who was a preemie, born prematurely. So there's kind of a double meaning to the song where he's talking about, yes, getting out of the bar, but the other meaning is about bringing a child into the world. And his daughter Coco was born prematurely, and that's also a big part of the song's meaning when you look into it. So it's kind of got a dual meaning to it, which is great.
Over my head.
I
Missed
know
that one.
Well,
they just strung together a bunch of cliches that bartenders say, called it a song and said, we wrote that. And I'm like, no.
Tell me how you really feel, John.
No, guess where they're from? Tim Wall's country.
Are they really?
They're Minneapolis.
Oh, they're Minneapolis band?
So put it all together there.
Oh, gosh. So they're big fans of Tampon Tim, huh?
Probably.
Oh, my goodness.
Maybe played his party in backyard. Serving white guy tacos.
Is Tim doing the leg kick, too, while he's at it? Oh, my goodness. Fire burns Tesla Cybertrucks at Kansas City dealership. Police say it may have been arson. Fire burns. Is this like when they do stories about shootings? Headline here from December, gun violence soars in Kansas City. Headline from last May in the Kansas City Star, Missouri has the 5th highest rate of gun deaths, as if the guns just magically happen to go off in Kansas City more than they do in places like, Leawood and Lee Summit. Or did somebody likely set these Cybertrucks on fire on State Line Road, and that's why the ATF and the FBI are investigating them? But just the same old story, the same old angle. Fire burns Tesla Cybertrucks. Yeah, I hate when those Cybertrucks just go up in flames, don't you? Especially when it's in Kansas City. It's also in Vegas. It's also up in Oregon the other day. I mean, they're just going up in flames left and right. Go figure. It's crazy. So that's how the Kansas City Star framed it. Let's share some reporting here. I have not run this morning, have we? Let's go to Woke 41. Action News. Here they were.
What were you thinking at that moment?
Well, I really wanted to get out and chase them, to be honest.
Let me pause it right there. This is audio from the man who took the video of the Cybertrucks on fire 2 nights ago on State Line Road. We shared that on our X account at KCMO Talk Radio. You can see it there. He spoke. Good job. I give credit where it's due. Good job by Woke 41. They got a hold of the guy, and here's what he told them.
What were you thinking at that moment?
Well, I really wanted to get out and chase them, to be honest. But just kind of like crazy. I can't believe people are doing this around here. It's why protest, in this way? It's not being good to your fellow man.
Kansas City Police, FBI, and ATF are all looking into the fire because it might be connected to similar incidents, like Tuesday morning in Las Vegas, where multiple Teslas were on fire. In that incident, police believe it was a targeted attack. Authorities here have not said that, just that it's suspicious.
All right. Well, I don't know if it's coordinated with Vegas and some of the other places that Tesla Cybertrucks have gone up in flames, but I do not think it's a coincidence that this is happening, and we all know why it's happening, right? So the one thing I disagree with that guy on, and good job by him taking the video, is he says, I can't believe people are protesting like this. You new here, bro? I can. Why does this not surprise you? Go back 5 years ago, and you had people who were burning American cities in the name of George Floyd. Nothing should surprise you anymore. And by the way, they largely got away with it. The media, what did they call them? Mostly peaceful protests at the time, as they were standing on burning police precincts. Hey, it was mostly peaceful. I mean, there's 19 other police precincts in the city of Minneapolis, and only one of them burned down. So by that justification, I guess it is mostly peaceful. Once you get away with that, it's kind of like dealing with a toddler. And trust me, I'm dealing with a lot of them these days. When you give them enough rope, they will continue to look for and ask for more. Now, with one of mine, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter how long or how tight the rope is. She just does what she wants. But in this case, to use a normal analogy, if you give them more rope, they will try to take more. So now they're mad at Elon Musk because, well, he's trying to help the government clean up a $2 trillion annual deficit and $36 trillion in debt. So what's the response to that? Go burn Cybertrucks, said nobody ever with common sense. But as long as you got a sympathetic media landscape, and that's largely what we're dealing with here still, it's not going to change. In fact, arguably, it's only going to get worse unless, and I hope this is what happens, now that you got the FBI and the ATF involved, Pam Bondi goes out there and lays down the law. And it sounds like that is what she is going to do. She said that they're dealing with this on the federal level. They're going to be on it. And in her statement that she dropped yesterday from the Attorney General's office, she made it very clear that they were not going to sit back and allow this to happen. Her statement read in part, this is domestic terrorism. The Department of Justice has already charged several perpetrators with that in mind, and they will be charged with 5-year mandatory minimum sentences. Now, I will take a step back, and I will say this, because I know some of you are screaming at the radio right now, and that's cool. I don't want to get you too worked up on a Wednesday morning. But some of you are screaming, oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? What about January 6th? Yeah, that's an embarrassing day, too. You're right. And going back 4 years now, I've been very clear that if you broke the law, there should be consequences for that. Of course, everybody broke the law to different levels who was there that day. If you happen to step foot inside the Capitol building when you show up 20 minutes after all the violence happens, is that worthy of, years in prison, in solitary confinement? Probably not. If you were beating cops, yeah, I'm good with the fullest extent of the law there. And to me, that's the difference. Instead of this one-size-fits-all approach, you actually look at what people did and you prosecute them based on what they did, not based on what political party they might be affiliated with or what cause they might be affiliated with. That's not the way to do it. But this Tesla thing, it is completely out of control. You've got people who now, I'm seeing some of these videos on social media. There was one guy who went viral yesterday. He was in his Cybertruck, and he pans to his right. He's at a stoplight, and there's this guy who's just staring at him through his window, giving him the middle finger. Never met the guy. No idea who he is. He just looks to his right, and there's a guy flipping him off because he's in a Cybertruck. That's where we're at. It's insane. And you think about what's happening at the top levels of the Democratic Party right now, and here's Tim Walz yesterday, and Tim Walz shared this video of himself. So it's not like he said this and was like, I probably shouldn't have said that. Tim Walz, who, God forbid, could you imagine him being the Veep right now? Oh, my gosh. He'd be prancing his way through the West Wing, swinging his legs around like he's a Rockette and the whole deal. Doing the salute. What a weirdo that guy was. So he's back up there in Minnesota, thank goodness. But he hasn't given up. He's very upset with Elon Musk. And now he's very happy that Tesla's stock is down.
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So, and if you own one, we're not blaming you. You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, and take out, just telling you.
Now, Elon wrote last night on X, sometimes when I need a little boost, I look at the J.D. Vance portrait in the White House and thank the Lord. That's well done there by Elon. Nice job there, buddy. So there's Tim Walz celebrating an American company, and Tesla is more American than most of the cars that are on the road right now. They produce electric vehicles, which they loved up until Elon joined the White House in an unofficial capacity 2 months ago. And now he's like, yeah, those Teslas are the worst. Now, I will say this much as well when it comes to Tesla in general. There are too many people who are making their decisions in their personal lives based on politics. I won't buy a Tesla because I'm not an EV guy. I like what he's doing, but I'm not going to go buy a Tesla to support Elon Musk. Okay, he's worth $400 billion. He doesn't need me. I might buy some Tesla stock because I think it's devalued right now, and it's down, 40% in the last few weeks. But that's just a play because I think it makes sense in the markets. I'm not going to go out. I think the Cybertruck is ugly as could be. I think it's a hideous-looking car. You see them on the road and you kind of do a double take because they're getting so much attention right now. They look cool on the inside, but I think it's a hideous car. I'm not going to go buy it just because I like what he's trying to do with Doge. And on the flip side, if I was a Tesla owner, I wouldn't go and load the thing. I just can't look at my own car anymore because of Elon Musk. Do not let the politics impact your decision-making in your personal life. Don't do it. It's not, I promise you, it's not worth it. It's not. Very few things in life are. But it is amazing how you've had the left twist themselves into pretzels over a guy who was a hero just a few years ago because of what he was doing with EVs, and now they can't stand him and they don't know what to do about it. You had this one senator, Mark Kelly, from Arizona. Did you see this the other day? Mark Kelly goes out there and he decides that he's going to sell his Tesla because he can't look at it anymore. And what does he buy? A Chevy Tahoe. It's like, bro, you're owning yourself here. You're buying a Chevy Tahoe, a gas guzzler, to stick it to Elon when you guys have been telling us how if we drive Chevy Tahoes, we're destroying the planet. Which one is it? 913-408-7957. That's the text line and the studio line on KCMO Talk Radio on a Wednesday. Oh, my gosh. Pete, maybe the guy in that car was just flipping him off because the driver was filming him. Oh, come on. Come on. He's not breaking out his phone unless he's getting flipped off. You know how that works. Let's be serious here. 913-408-7957, the text line and the studio line on 95.7 FM. I don't know about you, but just decisions in general. I didn't boycott the NFL because Colin Kaepernick was a tool. I didn't. I was already boycotting Bud Light, so I couldn't really partake in that boycott as much as I wanted to. The only Bud Light boycott I had was at NFL games. That's all it was. But a beer versus a vehicle that you think is saving the planet and suddenly you can't stand, I mean, that is a tough sell. Really tough sell. But it's where a lot of people are at right now in this whole thing. So you think about what's next. Well, Elon at some point is going to have to go back to Tesla. I don't know. And you heard Bill O'Reilly say this last hour. How long is he going to be around? Usually people that are there in the private space, in the private sector, don't have a long runway when they're doing things like this on behalf of, the president of the United States or whoever it might be. His might be a little bit longer because he's kind of dug in on this Doge thing. He can't leave in a month. I think he's got to be there probably for at least 12 months. But then he's going to go back to Tesla, go back to SpaceX. And that's why I still think the long-term vision for these companies is going to be just fine. It's going to be one of those things that you're going to look back on and say, you know what, the company's going to do A-OK. But Elon gave it his best shot to try to help this country turn its debt situation around. And that is something that desperately does need to happen in America. There's no doubt about it. You know, Vox, they're a pretty far-left online publication. They wrote a story here that is just a can't-miss piece. If your thought, when you think back to 2024, is, man, if only more people got out and voted, Trump would not be president today. Well, you'd be wrong. Vox did a big piece, and they actually broke down all the data, and you can look it up. I can reshare it here on X as well, at Pete Mundo. And the headline on Vox.com was, "This is why Kamala Harris really lost." And it's paywalled, but I was able to catch some of the highlights of it on social media. And one of the most important parts of this Vox piece is where they go back and they look at the voters from 2022 and then in 2024. And if you look at those who voted in the midterm in 2022, if those people had voted along party lines, Kamala Harris would have won the popular vote by 0.6, 50.3 to 49.7, amongst those who showed up to vote in 2022 in those midterms, right? In 2024, what happened? Trump won by 1.4 points, 50.7 to 49.3. Now, what would have happened if everybody who was registered to vote got out and actually voted? Trump would have won by nearly 5 points. That's courtesy of Blue Rose Research. It was written about by Vox, VOX.com yesterday in their headline article. And they talked about how younger voters, in particular, are becoming much more Republican than prior generations. And that's driving this shift in large part in what you're seeing in the electorate. And it's a stunning reversal from when, like, I first voted in a presidential election. It was Barack Obama 2008. There was nothing cool, I promise you, about voting for John McCain. Even I didn't feel cool doing it. I didn't think Obama was the answer, but I wasn't like, wow, this John McCain guy, he's pretty cool, man. Nothing about John McCain was cool. With all due respect to him, rest in peace, John McCain, but nothing about the guy was cool. I'll readily admit that. But Obama was the guy. He was cool. He was hip. He was obviously the first black president. We think. So you sit there now and you say to yourself, all right, well, what's the point of how things have changed in 15 years? What's gone on here? Well, I think the biggest thing that's gone on is how the culture war has been handled by the other side, where they have leaned so far in to some of these crazy issues that young people are like, yeah, I'm not down with that. I don't want dudes in my women's bathrooms. I'm not cool with that. I don't want that. Not something I'm going to support. I'm going to pass on that. Like, that's obviously one of the big issues that you think about younger people engaging in the culture war in particular. But there's a lot of examples of that where they're just like, I'm out. All right? I mean, the people that you think about who used to, like, just be emo for a day, and Mark was emo, so I'm not knocking the emo game. I had friends who were in the emo crowd as well. That would be the hippie crowd for those of you who are part of the boomer generation. But now it's like, hey, if you don't let this guy walk into this girl's bathroom, you're a transphobe and a bigot. I'm not going to let you do that, okay? I'm not going to let you do that. It's an 80-20 issue. You're not going to shame me into this stuff anymore. I'm done. I'm over it. So how much of it is like people actually like the Republican platform and like Trump? A large part of it, but it's not all of it. A lot of it, too, is being in the right place at the right time when your opponents are destroying themselves. And that's a big part of what's going on as well.